Hey there, and welcome to That's Audacious, where we share entrepreneurial stories from amazing leaders to inspire and motivate you to be bold, brave, and audacious. I'm your host, Lauren Clement, the brand navigator, here to share stories that will make you say, well, that's audacious. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the That's Audacious podcast. And I am so excited about this episode because I'm getting to interview someone who really does understand, and I'm going to use it lightly, the back end of awards and what goes on behind the scenes. So many people that I talk to talk about how they love the idea of awards. They're just not sure whether to enter, but they have no idea about all the other amazing stuff that goes on in the background to actually make these awards work and to make these awards events, evenings, such incredible events. Now, Matthew, you've been involved with Precedent Productions for a number of years now, starting in admin and working your way up to now being the event coordinator for them. But you're also an incredibly talented actor, you're a performer, you understand stagecraft, you've been around events for many, many years. Tell us what on earth led you to get involved with Precedent Productions, and what have you come from to get to where you are now with your involvement with the awards?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Lauren. It was a bit of an interesting tale getting here. Steve Loe, our founder, is a huge supporter of the arts. Anyone that comes and sees a Champion Awards knows that. And he was a producer on one of my shows, and that show was wrapping up. And I was talking to him, and I said, I don't have a gig coming up. I don't know what I'm going to do. And that naturally kind of led into at Precedent Productions, being in the office. And I really haven't looked back. So much so that there's some gigs now that I'm starting to turn down because I just love what Champions represents. It's a brilliant organisation.
Brilliant. Now, when we say Champions, shall we give people who are listening just a little bit of an idea of what the Champions Awards are? Because, I mean, you worked in archiving, you were by hand, scanning all the photographs. And how many did you say there were that you were scanning by hand? 50,000.
We have 50,000 images in now. Yes, Steve is a wonderful man of archives, I tell you what.
Yeah.
But yes, the Australian Small Business Champion Awards is our flagship program here. It's been running since 1999. And Steve really had a vision as a child. He saw how hard his parents worked, and he wanted to recognize and reward them. Everyone was so quick to, I suppose, point out the problems of their little corner store or Greek nightclub, and never really quick to say thank you. So from that, the New South Wales Small Business Awards was born. And from there, we now have the Champion Awards. I think we're at 28 years now. So a very successful program. Yeah.
Amazing. And it's grown so much as well. I mean, it started just locally, didn't it? Within where Steve was with the local businesses and so on. And it grew into a national brand or a national program of awards and became the Australian Small Business Champion Awards. And now you've also got the Australian Women's Champion Awards, the trades, and now the professionals. So you've got 4 different programs that run throughout the year. What's one of the biggest things you've seen as it's grown, or biggest changes that's happened?
I think we're seeing, now that we've really honed in on these particular different areas, the pursuit of women in business, we're seeing a lot more female entrepreneurs come through. We have a plethora of dedicated categories. For example, trade as well, we can just hone in a little bit more. So we're seeing a lot of people that we wouldn't necessarily see. They can see these categories and go, actually, now there is something very specific that I fit into. So it's really opened the spectrum of businesses we're seeing, and it's always a great thing. Recognition for Australian small business, that's the game we're in. So having more people in this concentrated arena, it has really changed the game for us. I think also having it split up as well allows us to discover so many new businesses as well. When we were going through the categories and deciding what to put in for each Champion Award, we literally thought, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a business. It now has a category. So it's been a really exciting time for the company. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it is quite a fast changing sector, isn't it? Small business, when you think about it. And it is very varied, isn't it? Across, as you say, you've got a category there for solopreneurs, you've got it for nail technicians, you've got really quite specific categories, but you've got some broader ones as well around the idea of professional services, or around the idea of business services or coaching. So some broader ones in there too.
Yes.
What would you, I mean, a lot of people, when they're looking at your awards, especially at the Australian Small Business Champion Awards, one of the big questions I ask is, which category is going to be the best suited to me if it's not as cut and dried? If it's not like, I'm not a plumber, or I'm not, specifically fitting into these, how should they really consider which category is best for them?
I think the first place to do is go to the awards criteria, and we have quite detailed, I suppose, definitions. However, the categories are built in a way that they can remain flexible. So if you don't necessarily see something straight away that jumps out, or it isn't too specific to your organization, have a flick through the rest of the criteria. Have a read through the rest of the categories, because we haven't yet found a business, I don't think, that we couldn't fit in somewhere. So we definitely would love you to come on board, have a read, and worst case scenario, give us a call. We're very friendly here.
Yeah, I have found that with Precedent, actually. Your team is amazing. They're proactive, they're responsive, and they're incredibly helpful, which is just brilliant. Now, the other thing that a lot of people are concerned about when they come to entering awards is, how long is this going to take me? Right now, the Australian Small Business Champion Awards is 10 questions. And they're all about very broad aspects of your business. So why you started, and your approach to training your staff, and how you market yourself, and so on. You're limited on word count. What are some of the tips you would give to people to make sure that they do it really well? Because it's not an easy award to win. And I know from speaking to some of the judges in the past, they are definitely seeing AI creeping in, and people using these, cut and paste answers that are very verbose. What are some of the things we could perhaps hone in on that might help people overcome that fear of entering and thinking it's a lot of effort, is it really worth it, and so on, but also giving them some tips to make sure they do it well?
Great question, Lauren. I mean, it's really, I think, the most important part of the whole process. The finalist questions, or at least the submission questions, are designed to be a business model for your own business. So reflecting on basically the success you've had since starting the year before is a really good way to start. So you're getting kind of a 2-for-1 here. You're entering an awards program, and you're doing a bit of a business overview. I would say my biggest tip is start early. Don't leave it till the night before. We might hear, it depends on who you are. 10 questions might sound like a lot to some, to others not so much, but they really do deserve the time. You deserve the time. Businesses do. So going through, reading the questions first, take a couple days, stew over it, get a notepad out, start to do a bit of an inventory yourself on how the health of your business is going, and slowly but surely build it. The submission essentially is autosave applicable. So you can start, you can think about it, come back, but mainly just making sure that you've got your house in order, that you speak from your heart. I mean, this is a big thing we hear. A lot of people are concerned that it's all about the dollar figures. Now, the financial health of a business is a very important aspect of our program, but we're also looking for the heart of your community. What do you do for your communities? How are you involved? Your staff? What's your value system? These are the kind of things that really, if you can detail it in a way that it articulates it to us well, it could just be the thing that gets you over the line to win. So really don't think of it as something very corporate and formal. We want to hear everything, but we definitely want to see the heart.
Yeah, I love it. And the very cool thing about that is that a lot of people in small business are really concerned that they haven't done enough. And so often they are really concerned about entering awards and thinking, but I haven't had this massive growth. I haven't had these huge sales. I haven't, expanded my team 120%. Should I really be entering if that hasn't happened? So I love the fact that you talk about sharing the story, because your judges understand that business success isn't like that, right? It's not linear. It's a roller coaster. So, but I guess in a way, I mean, it was Mark Twain, I think, who said, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. And that's exactly it, isn't it? You've got to condense it into a short amount of words and make it really clear and concise. Is there any suggestions you'd use for people in terms of what type of business? Like, are you better to enter if you are starting out, or if you're in growth phase, or where are you on your journey? That would be the ideal time to look at entering these awards.
Yeah, look, a great question again. We have a category that is solely dedicated to businesses 2 years and under. All right, so best new business. What we generally see a trend, though, of those winning the awards. outside of the 2 years with a little bit of experience under the belt. So I'm not talking, you know, an average of 10, 15 years. There is no average. But to know what you are, who you are, and what you're providing for your communities is a really good place to start. We would encourage you to get a year in or so and enter. Do start. Understand the process. For me as an actor, you know, they call me a professional auditionee, not an actor, because I attend the gigs and the auditions, and I don't always get the role. But each time I'm learning something about the process. I'm learning something about myself and my own business. So there isn't really a set time to start. I would just make sure that you understand what it is you're providing for your communities. And I think we didn't get to, I didn't raise the idea of it before, but AI, I would encourage as best as possible people to not submit, you know, point blank AI. If that's a tool that can help you, keep it outside of the submission box, rewrite it, get a bit of an essence for how it should be structured, but then put it in your own words. We can smell it a mile away. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. If you are enjoying this interview, there are lots more of these incredible That's Audacious podcast episodes out there. Just get them on your favorite channel. Now, one of the things I would like to talk about, Matthew, is the behind the scenes stuff that happens, especially with the Australian Small Business Champion Awards, because you mentioned before Steve is a great supporter of the performing arts, and his love for opera and theatre, it obviously comes through in everything he does. And we always say to people, these are incredible awards because, number one, they're free to enter. There's no entry fee. You give, and I can't believe the massive amount of content that you give to people just for being a finalist. So you can see some of that on the wall behind me. You get posters, you get letters, you get social media, you get logos you can use. A lot of award programs out there will charge you for this sort of stuff, and yet it's all inclusive in the whole program. And it's just, we really, really value that as small business owners, to be able to say, hey, we've put our neck on the line. We have put ourselves forward to be in an award, and it's so nice to get that recognition of just being a finalist is brilliant. And we always tell people to leverage that. But to go to the event is something else. And over the years, I get ready every time to sit back and enjoy a Broadway style show with the fabulous entertainment. How have you managed to wrangle that, to get such great performers, to set up an amazing show, to make the event way more than just a bunch of boring acceptance speeches that people churn through on the night? It is definitely one of the go-to events in the country.
Absolutely. I think, Lauren, on that point, it all starts with Steve Loe, the man who started this program. He had that vision over 30 years ago, and it was the vision of executing excellence, really. And we get small business because we in our own right are a small business. There's 6 of us in the office. We have a team of suppliers that come together as a small army to make it happen. And I just feel very blessed that Steve loves the arts. I mean, that's how we met. So I can't speak for that so much, but he certainly has championed including artists in the program. In regards to what you see on the night, it's all done by the 6 of us, plus some suppliers on the day. It is truly a all hands in kind of experience. And in regards to all the material we supply, again, we get you guys. We would want the same in return. Okay, so knowing that this program understands small business, it's not just a corporate exercise, is really important. I hope your listeners tap into. And we're there for every step of the way. I mean, again, Steve wanted to recognize and reward. This program now has the ability to change a business's trajectory. So it's certainly many hands on board. And of course, we understand you guys, definitely.
Yeah, it is one of the most elegant trophies to win, I must admit. It's the nicest trophy to wrap your hands around on the night. Just phenomenal.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, and we can't finish this incredible interview without mentioning this hefty tome that's sitting on my desk, this amazing book. Now, Matthew, how did this come about? Because I know you were sitting there scanning photographs. Was it you that said, we've got to do something with this? Was this down to yours? Is this your fault?
No, I was trying. Look, it is my fault, I think, vicariously, but I was trying to graduate from photo scan, and I was getting dry fingers at that point. And Steve asked me to write an email for him to send out some documents. And clumsy as I am, I sent the wrong documents. I actually sent all of Steve's personal and business banking details, PINs, everything, to a group of people. And we started getting email responses back quicker than we normally do. And Steve called me in and said, "Which document did you attach?" I looked and my heart sank. So I went home thinking I was going to get fired. And the next day, Steve called me in, chuckling, a good sense of humor. But he focused in on the text in the email and said, "This is really nice. It's persuasive, it's creative, and it tells a story. Got an idea for you." And that was literally it, I think 2021. And from there, the idea was to make a sponsorship proposal, a really nice book, that could show what we do. It was never really meant to define this legacy in the way it has. And over time, it grew. So it was a 6-month exercise, it turned into 3 years, and we haven't stopped since. So we're really, really happy to share this with the world. Definitely.
I love it. I love it. Such a great story. You did a Qantas on your boss, which is nice. I'm glad you didn't lose your job, because this is an extraordinary book. It tells an incredible story of Steve's background, of his passion for small business, of what it was like growing up and working in a small business as a child, but also these incredible performers and these amazing stories and all of these incredible people who've been involved. And I love the fact that it tells their personal stories. You can actually look through this and see where the businesses have come from. I mean, it rolls off politicians' tongues, doesn't it? They say small business is the backbone of our economy. They say it constantly. But this shows that actually small business is the lifeblood of our community. And it's just such an extraordinary book. If you are watching the podcast, you'll be able to see it. If you're listening, it's called Champions. And it's all about the legacy that this incredible Small Business Champion Awards and Steve and the team with Matthew have created. Please get hold of your copy of it. It's an extraordinary story. You will be blown away and inspired. If you're ever having a bad day in business, feeling a bit down on yourself, grab this and just read one of the chapters, because it absolutely makes you sit back and realize that, business can be tough, but it's so worthwhile. So thank you so much for putting that book together, Matthew. Are you proud of what you've done? Where are you at with volume 2?
Yeah, well, volume 2 might kill me. I don't know. No, I am very proud. It didn't really hit me until about a week before the book launch, and I actually held the book for the first time. I worked with we worked with a publishing house, but I worked with a designer to design it. But every photo, every kind of font and text piece, that's all kind of come from Chris and Steve's head. So to see it in our hands was a really special moment. And I'm going to take maybe a small sabbatical for the next one. But bring it. If they want it, let's do it.
Well, it is an ongoing story, isn't it? And as we say, these awards have just grown over the years, and I'm sure you've seen the rooms getting bigger and more full as we've gone through, and the stories with some of the incredible businesses, as you say, who win these awards and go on to do incredible things. Matthew, it's been such a pleasure to interview on this podcast. I've got one last question for you, and I ask it of every guest who comes on the show. If you could go back in time, doesn't matter where, somewhere perhaps in your journey with Precedent Productions, or indeed starting the book and so on, and give yourself some advice, what would that be?
Don't sweat the small stuff. Simple as that. There's a whole world out there. I'm learning it in my own pursuits of business, and being here, there's always a solution. So don't let it live in your head rent-free.
I love it, especially if you just sent an email out with your boss's bank details.
Yeah, maybe that was the moment I should have gone back to. Why to my account?
Just read the email before I send it. Yeah, I love it. That's brilliant. Matthew, congratulations on the book. And thank you again to you and the amazing team at Precedent for everything that you do to support small businesses. I have been at a number of your events, and every time I'm blown away with how it seems to be just effortless what's going on. But I know it's like the swan with the legs going 90. Yeah, absolutely. You put on such a great show, but you support businesses and small businesses in this country so well. So thank you very much. And congratulations on the book. It's just phenomenal.
Thank you, Lauren. Thanks so much for having me. It's been lovely. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the That's Audacious podcast. Remember, there's no place for modesty in business, and you do deserve to be well known, well paid, and wanted. For more episodes, please subscribe to the podcast on your favourite channel or follow us online. The links are in the description below.